Hi, my dear students. I am once again welcoming you to the IFRS classes. And in the previous class, we are discussing about the GAP, Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, and the another topic called as the International Accounting Standards. In this class, we are continuing to explain the international accounting standards here. The first one is the International Accounting Standard 1, presentation of financial statements. And the second one is inventories in the International Accounting Standards 2, inventories. Third one is International Accounting Standard 7, statement of cash flows. And the fourth one is International Accounting Standard 8, accounting policies, changes in accounting estimates and errors. Then International Accounting Standard 10, events after the reporting period, and then construction contracts. After that, the next one is International Accounting Standard 12, income taxes. International Accounting Standard 16, PPE, property, plant and equipment. International Accounting Standard 17, leases. And International Accounting Standard 18, revenues. ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ನಾವು previous class ಅಲ್ಲಿ discussion ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ. Then now we are moving on the International Accounting Standard 19th, employee benefits. See, what is meant by employee benefits? In the International Accounting Standards 19, each and every employee benefits. Employee benefits is nothing but it is a special benefits we are given to the employees. Either it may be HRA, house rent allowances, dearness allowances, traveling allowances, anything what we called as DA, dearness allowances, each and every allowances we are given to the employees. But what happens here, this is also is very essential, should know that the provident fund also, pf also, it is a benefit we are given to the employees. These are all the benefits we need to systematically record in the books of accounts. Therefore they given the clear directions, guidelines in the International Accounting Standard 19, employee benefits. And next we are moving on the next one here, international accounting standards. International Accounting Standard, International Accounting Standard 20, accounting for government grants. Accounting for government grants and disclosure of the government assistance. See, what is meant by government grants? The government grants, it is a special funds and the amount is given for the purpose of government schemes and government projects. See, government also given the so much of funds, so much of amounts. It is the assistance is given to the each and every government organization. Those government organization, how it is utilizing each and every rupee we are given the rules, we are given the accounting information to the government. Either it may be a central government or it may be a state government. Therefore accounting for government grants is nothing but the grants is given each and every government association, it must and should accounted. Therefore it is the Indian International Accounting Standard 20 tells us how we are utilizing the government grants. And disclosure, what is meant by disclosure? Disclosure is nothing but showing. Disclosure is nothing but showing of government assistance. Showing of government assistance is nothing but we are showing how government are utilizing these funds in a systematic manner. So that is what we called as, in a books of accounts we are disclosing the right information for which purpose we are utilizing these amounts, government funds. Either it is given in the form of the state or it is given in the form of the central. That is what we called as government assistance. Government assistance is nothing but it is a support given by the government. All these guidelines, rules and regulations are prescribed in the International Accounting Standard 20. After that, next we are moving on. The next one here, International Accounting Standards 21, the effect of changes in foreign exchange rates. What happens here? In India, we have the currency rupee, but in America, they has the currency called as dollar. So what happens here? The foreign currency values is differ from one country to another country. Therefore, it is very, very essential we should see the effects or defects or adverse effect, how it will be inflated in the foreign exchange rates. Why? Because ಒಂದು ಸಲ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದಂಥ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ $1 ನಾವು ಎಷ್ಟು ರೂಪೀಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಪೇ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. So next day it is varies, means the foreign exchange rates is varies from day to day. So each and every information related to the foreign exchange rates is given in the International Accounting Standard 21. And next, International Accounting Standard 23. International Accounting Standard 23, borrowing cost. What is meant by borrowing cost? Borrowing, first of all, what is meant by cost? Cost is nothing but it is the amount of expenditure incurred to produce a particular unit. Cost is nothing but it is the amount of expenditure incurred to produce a particular unit. That is what we called as cost. What is meant by borrowing cost? When we are borrowing or receiving from the different sources of funds, that may be a short term funds or that may be a long term funds. Short term borrowings or they may be a long term borrowings. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಅಲ್ಪಾವಧಿಯ ಹಣಕಾಸನ್ನಾದ್ರೂ ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ದೀರ್ಘಾವಧಿಯ ಹಣಕಾಸನ್ನಾದ್ರೂ ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬರ್ಬೋದು. When we are receiving the borrowings from the different countries or the different financial institutions, it is incurred certain sum of interest money. That interest money, that is what we called as borrowing expenditure. That is what we called as borrowing expenditure. This borrowing expenditure called as the borrowing cost. Those borrowing cost is each and every information related to the borrowing cost is given in the International Accounting Standard 23. After that, we are moving on the next accounting standard here, International Accounting Standard 24. In the International Accounting Standard 24, related party disclosures. Related party disclosures is nothing but is the related parties who are related to the organization. Those persons are classified into two types. That persons what we have to be classified into two types means the first one is the internal parties related to the organizations. Second parties is the external parties related to the organization. Related party is nothing but he has a relationship between the organization. He has a relationship between the organization. That person what we called as a related party. So either he may be a creditor, either he may be a debitor, or he may be a any person. So it is what we called as a related person, related party. Related party disclosures is nothing but so the related party disclosing or showing their books of accounts when they are supplying the goods, when we are purchasing from them, when we are supplying to them. So each and every guidelines and the information they given in the International Accounting Standard 24, that is what we called as related party disclosures. Next we are moving on. The International Accounting Standard 26. International Accounting Standard 26. International Accounting Standard 26, accounting and reporting by the retirement benefit plans. The retirement benefit plans is the employee benefit plans. It is also like a employee benefit plans is given Employee benefit plans is given to the particularly employee. So each and every guidelines they given in the International Accounting Standard 26 related to the retirement benefit plans to the laborers or the employees of the organization. Next, we are moving on International Accounting Standard 27. International Accounting Standard 27 related to the separate financial statements. See, it gives the information relating to the financial statement in an organization. We should maintain the separate statements to each and every branches of the organization. The each and every guidelines is given in the International Accounting Standard 27. After that, the next one is International Accounting Standard 28. International Accounting Standard 28 tells us the investment in associates and joint ventures. What is meant by associate? Associate is nothing but is a company having the control by other company. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಕಂಪನಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿರುತ್ತೆ ಎಂಟೈರ್ ಅಸೋಸಿಯೇಟ್ ಕಂಪನಿಯ ಒಂದು ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಹೊಂದಿರುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ ಕಂಪನಿ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಎ parent company and subsidiary company and associate company as like a subsidiary company. Subsidiary in the subsidiary company, majority of the control is in the hands of parent company. And a joint venture, what is meant by joint venture? It is a combination of two or more companies, they are jointly together for the ಮ್ಯೂಚುವಲ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟಿವ್, ಒಂದು ಅಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಒಂದು ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ವೆಂಚರ್ ಅನ್ನು ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. those ventures what we called as giant venture or the giant capital. And next we are moving on the International Accounting Standard 29. International Accounting Standard 29. So International Accounting Standard 29 is purely related to the financial reporting in hyperinflationary economies. Hyperinflationary economies is very influenced economies in an organization. Why? Because there is a different types of the economies in the world. Some countries are the developed countries, some countries are the underdeveloped countries, some countries are the developing countries. So our India is the developing country. Here hyperinflation is nothing but it is very economy, very high and accelerating inflation of the currency. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹಣಕಾಸಿನ ಉಬ್ಬರ ಏನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. So they are the rich and wealthy persons. So those rich countries are called as they are the heavy currency persons. And in this heavy currency countries, how we have to be preparing the financial statement? Each and every information is given in the International Accounting Standard 29. For example, ಅಮೆರಿಕಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ನಾವು ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ದ ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಈಚ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ ಇಸ್ ಡಿಫರ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿ ಒನ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ ಟು ಅನದರ್ country. Why? Because GDP of the India, when we are comparing with the GDP of the gross domestic product, GDP of the America, what is the differentiation? A lot of differentiations is there. So therefore this is what we called as the financial reports in the hyper inflationary economies. Next one is International Accounting Standards. International Accounting Standard 32, it is purely related to the financial instrument presentation. Financial instrument presentation is nothing but the financial instruments such as the bills of exchange and the short-term call money market, commercial papers, each and every what we called as the financial instruments. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ಒಂದು ಹಣಕಾಸಿನ ಸಾಧನಗಳನ್ನು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ ನಾವು ಬುಕ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ 32 ನಮಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ದ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ 33, in the International Accounting Standard 33, what happens here? It is purely related to the earning per share. What is the earning per share? After we are paying the taxes, and it is a profits available to the shareholders. Either it may be equity shareholders or it may be a preference shareholders. We are paying the dividends to the shareholders. When we are paying the dividend to the shareholders, how much dividend he is receiving per share, ಒಂದು ಶೇರ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಡಿವಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಅವನು ಪಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು. ಸೊ ಈ ಒಂದು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಈ ಒಂದು ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ 33 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ 34. International Accounting Standard 34, Interim Financial Reporting. International Accounting Standard 34, Interim Financial Reporting is nothing but, so it is a periodical financial report. 6 months gondsala, 3 months gondsala navalle finance na position ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾವು ಟಾಪ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಇಂಟೀರಿಯಂ ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟಿಂಗ್. And the next is in next international accounting standard is International Accounting Standard 36. International Accounting Standard 36, it gives the information relating to the impairment of assets. Impairment of assets is nothing but replacement of assets. Assets na navilli replace ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಬ್ಸೊಲೋಸೆನ್ಸ್. ಅಬ್ಸೊಲೋಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಹಳೆಯದ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಾವೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಪ್ಪ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಆ ಒಂದು ಅಸೆಟ್ ನ ರೀಪ್ಲೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ. ದಟ್ ರೀಪ್ಲೇಸಿಂಗ್ ಅಸೆಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಇಂಪೇರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಸೆಟ್ಸ್. Next, International Accounting Standard. International Accounting Standard 37. International Accounting Standard 37, provisions, contingent liabilities and contingent assets. It is related to the International Accounting Standards 37. And the next one is the International Accounting Standard 38, intangible assets. Intangible assets means trademarks, patents, copyrights. So those what we called as intangible assets. And the another one is International Accounting Standards. International Accounting Standard 39, ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೂಮೆಂಟ್ ರೆಕಗ್ನಿಷನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಮೆಜರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಈ ಒಂದು ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೂಮೆಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ರೆಕಗ್ನೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಮೆಜರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋಂಥದ್ದನ್ನ ಈ ಒಂದು ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ 39 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ದ ಅನದರ್ ಒನ್ ಈಸ್ International Accounting Standard 40, ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ. ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ನಾವು ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಮೇಲೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಐದರ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಇನ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಆರ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಇನ್ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್, ಹೌ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದೋಸ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್, ಹೌ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಈಚ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ is given in the International Accounting Standards 40. And the next one is International Accounting Standard 41, agriculture. So it is purely related to the agriculture, how we are recording the agricultural items. Why? Because in agriculture also we have the commercial purpose. Commercial purpose ಗೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನು ಸಹ ಕೆಲವು ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಸೊ ನಮ್ಮ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಟು IT Act of 1961 ಏನ್ ಹೇಳುತ್ತಪ್ಪ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಈ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಇಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸೆಂಪ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್. ಬಟ್ ಕೆಲವು ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ಸ್, ಅದನ್ನ ನೀವು ಮೈಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ವೈ? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇಫ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ಸ್, ವಿ ಆರ್ ಎಕ್ಸೆಂಪ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿ tax. Agriculture is exempt from the tax, but it is a international accounting standard. Because of that international accounting standards, it is also taxable in certain countries. After that, next we are moving on the most important concept here, IFRS. The most important concept here, IFRS. It is very, very important concept, and it is very, very essential concept, IFRS. Yes, we are coming to the IFRS. What is meant by IFRS? It is very, very important question. We getting for the 2 marks. 2 marks ಗೆ ಸಿಗುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards. So what is meant by International Financial Reporting Standards? IFRS, the meaning gives us The meaning tells us International Financial Reporting Standards, popularly known as IFRS, refers to a set of generally accepted accounting principles, generally accepted Yes, it is the international accounting standards. Here, a set of generally accepted accounting principles that is popularly known as GAAP, used by companies to prepare the financial statements, a critical source of information published annually at a minimum and useful to various stakeholders in the understanding a company financial performance and management stewardship of the company's resource. Means you should easily understand this concept and the meaning of the IFRS. ನೀವು ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. IFRS is nothing but it is refers to a set of generally accepted accounting principles. A set ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ it is a group of generally accepted accounting principles. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಲಿ ಅಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಸೆಟ್ ಆಫ್ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ದಿ ಕಂಪನೀಸ್. ಸೊ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಕಂಪನಿ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಥ್ರೂಔಟ್ ದಿ ಗ್ಲೋಬ್, ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಕಂಪನಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಸೆಟ್ ಆಫ್ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ಸ್ of the company to prepare the financial statement. What are those financial statements? Income statement and position statements. What are those? Financial statement is nothing but income statement and finance income statement and position statement, and a critical source of information published annually. ಪ್ರತಿ ವರ್ಷನೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ನಾವು ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ at a minimum and useful to the various stakeholders. Stakeholders is nothing but the external users of the organizational information. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವರು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟರ್ನಲ್ ಯೂಸರ್ಸು, ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟಾರ್ಸು, ಡೆಬಿಟಾರ್ಸು, ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ಸು, ಸಪ್ಲೈಯರ್ಸು, those persons what we called as stakeholders is in understanding the company's financial performance. What is the progress of the company's finance? Company finance na progress ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಇದೆ, either in the positive progress or it is in the negative progress or it is in the medium progress. This financial performance is very very essential to know the outside of the society. ಸೊಸೈಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಒಂದು ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋಂಥದ್ದನ್ನ ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಈ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ ಇಂದ ನಾವೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ, ಸೆಟ್ ಆಫ್ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ಸ್ ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಈ ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ನ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇದನ್ನ ಪ್ರತಿ ವರ್ಷನೂ ಸಹ ಸ್ಟೇಕ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡರ್ಸ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಫಾರ್ ವಿಚ್ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಟು ನೋ ದಿ ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಪರ್ಫಾರ್ಮೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್. ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ನ ಒಂದು ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಪರ್ಫಾರ್ಮೆನ್ಸ್ ನ ನಾವು ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಶೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ಫ್ರಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಸ್ಟೇಕ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡರ್ಸ್, ಶೇರ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡರ್ಸ್, ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸಪ್ಲೈಯರ್ಸ್. we publishing the IFRS standards and financial statements and management stewardship of the company's resources. Management stewardship. Management stewardship is nothing but so how the management is using the company's resources, whether it is a assets or liabilities or any resources of the company, or any resources of the company, how they are using, or any resources of the company, how they are using, how they are utilizing. Each and every information is given to the stakeholders of the organization. That is what we called as IFRS. It is the one of the most important meaning they given for us. And next, we are moving on the another meaning here. In other words, yes, In other words, they given the another meaning. In other words, they given the another meaning about the IFRS. So IFRS are a set of accounting standards developed by the International Accounting Standards Board. Here, it is the standards are a set of rules and regulations prepared and developed by the International Accounting Standard Board. IASB. It is the 2 marks question they asking for us. IASB. What is meant by IASB is nothing but International Accounting Standard Board, which helps in becoming the global standard for the preparation of public company financial statement. It is a simple meaning. So it is a simple meaning. It tells us IFRS standards is nothing but it is prepared and developed by the IASB. IASB means International Accounting Standard Board, which helps in to becoming the global standard for preparation of public company financial statements. Public company financial statements prepare ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು IFRS ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ಸ್ ನ ಯಾರು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಐಎಎಸ್ ಬಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರುವಂತಹ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ಸ್ ನ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ IFRS International Financial Reporting Standards. Next we are moving on the another concept here, futures of futures of IFRS, how they are preparing, what is their futures of IFRS. ಅಂದ್ರೆ IFRS ಅನ್ನ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ನಾವಿಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಯಾವ ಒಂದು ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್ಸ್ ಇದು ಹೊಂದಿದೆ. The first one is it is free from bias. It is free from bias. What is meant by free from bias? Yes, it is free from bias. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಫ್ರೀ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಬಯಾಸ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ದ ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ಡ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ದಿ IFRS ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ is complete and free from bias. There is no influence to preparing the rules and regulations as the IFRS rules and regulations na prepare ಮಾಡುವಾಗ there is no influence of WTO, there is no influence of IBRD, there is no influence of World Bank. Each and every financial instruments, they are not interfering in the preparation and development of the set of rules and regulations is applicable towards the globe. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರಪಂಚದ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಂಪನಿಗಳಿಗೂ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಬಲ್ ಆಗುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ನ ಸೆಟ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತಹ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೂಯೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರಭಾವ ಬೀರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಫ್ರೀ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಬಯಾಸ್ ಈಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ bias means difficulties. It is free from the difficulties, it is free from the influence. And next we are moving on the second one. Next we are moving on the second one, comparability. Comparability, what is meant by comparability? What is meant by comparability? Comparability is nothing but it will help to compare the financial statement from one period to the next, or for two companies in the same industry, so that we can make a informed decision about the companies. ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. Comparability is nothing but it is also one of the future of the IFRS. When we are following the IFRS standards, it is very easy to compare. It is very easy to compare one company financial statement with another company's financial statement. ಒಂದು ಕಂಪನಿಯ ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ನಾವು ಈಸಿಯಾಗಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕಂಪನಿ ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಜೊತೆ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. ಯಾವಾಗ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಯಾವಾಗ IFRS ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವೋ. ವೈ? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ IFRS ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ಸ್ is a universal standards. They are prepared and developed for the purpose of universal usability. So therefore this is very very useful and it is very easy to take the decisions about the companies, whether the company is running in the profit or the company is running in the loss. And the next one is understandability. And the next one is understandability. Financial reports are prepared for users who have responsible knowledge of business and economic activities. Means what happens here, it is very easy to understand the financial reports, what they are prepared for the purpose of users of the organization. Each and every users of the organization, they must and should have a minimum knowledge, reasonable knowledge to understand the business and the economic activities of the organization. So this is also another feature of the IFRS. IFRS ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ, so how many international financial reporting standards, each and every international financial reporting standard, it is very easy to understand, very easy to analyze, very easy to interpret. Each and every activity, we are very easily identified, therefore it is very easy to understand. And next, the fourth one is accrual basis. What is meant by accrual basis of the account? Accrual basis of the accounting. Here, the accrual basis of the accounting, an entity shall recognize the items such as assets, liabilities, equity, income, and expenses when they satisfy the recognition criteria which are in the framework of IFRS. See, each and every assets, liabilities, equities, income, expenses, expenditure, each and every item of the organization, they must and should recognize it provide the economic benefit to the organization. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ರೆಕಗ್ನೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಅಸೆಟ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಐದರ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಅಸೆಟ್ಸ್, ಆರ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಅಸೆಟ್ಸ್, ಆರ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಎನಿ ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟಿ, or it may be any type of equity share capital, or it may be any type of income or expenses. Each and everything we are identifying with the guidelines of the IFRS standards. And the fifth one is timeliness. And the fifth one is timeliness. Timeliness means, it means having information available to decisions makers in time to be capable of influencing their decision. Timeliness is nothing but IFRS providing the in time information to each and every top managers, top management. They are taking the decision in a right time because of the IFRS standards. These are all the features of IFRS. And next, it is the most important topic here, list of international financial reporting standards. List of international financial reporting standards issued by International Accounting Standard Board, IASB. This is the most important question. They asked for 6 marks. They asked for 6 marks. You must and should list out the IFRS standards. ನೀವು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಪ್ಪ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಷ್ಟೇ. ಇದನ್ನ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲನೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತಹ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. The first one is the IFRS. The first one is the IFRS 1, first adoption of International Financial Reporting Standards. The second one is IFRS 2, share-based payment. And the third one is IFRS 3, business combinations. And the fourth one is IFRS 4, insurance contracts. And the fifth one is IFRS 5, non-current assets held for sale and discontinued operations. And IFRS 6 is exploration for and evaluation of mineral assets. And IFRS 7, financial instruments disclosures. And the IFRS 8, operating segments. IFRS 8, operating segments. And the IFRS 9, financial instruments. And the IFRS 10, consolidated financial statements. And IFRS 11, joint arrangements. And the IFRS 12, disclosure of interest in other entities. And IFRS 13, fair value of measurement. and the IFRS 14 regulatory deferral accounts, and the IFRS 15 revenue from contracts with customers. ಇಷ್ಟು 15 ಒಂದು IFRS ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ನ ನಿಮಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು 9 IFRS ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲನೇಷನ್ ಇಸ್ ನೀಡೆಡ್. ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲನೇಷನ್ ಕೇಳಲ್ಲ, ನೀವು ಜಸ್ಟ್ 9 IFRS ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು. This is about the list of international financial reporting standards issued by the International Accounting Standards Board.